Welcome to MechlordGames!
Hey, what is up guys? MechlordGames here today, coming at you with a video about Psychics. I mean PSYFrame. I mean the new Synchro deck that's a hand trap deck. I mean Heretic Dragon. There's a lot to say about this deck. I've recorded this 7 or 8 times, and that's just because there's so much that this deck has to offer. It's really hard to break down. It has similarities to a lot of other decks that I really greatly enjoy and love to play, and being able to now play multiple styles of decks in one is extremely crazy, and it itself has become its own entity. It is a good deck. By far, this is one of the best decks I have played. I can't sit here and say it's tier 1 because it does have its drawbacks, but I can't say it's tier 0 because of those drawbacks. It's just an extremely good, fun deck. So it has a vanilla monster. All the monsters have 2 effects that they all share in common. They have summon effects that that require your opponent to do something to meet a certain condition. When that condition is fulfilled, you can special summon these monsters, and then you get to special summon a PSYFrame driver. And then you get another various effect, which is extremely nice because it's just constant. Like, the first couple of summons you get off these monsters is just pure deck thin. Like, this deck is it's deck thin, it's fast. And their other effect is when the monsters that are summoned that way are banished. So they are psychic monsters first off. So they play with the psychic synergy of having to reactively banish themselves to do things. But they do have a restriction. You have to control no monsters on the field to use the effects. And that is kind of what balances it, is being able to, you can only use it when you control no monsters. But they have ways out of it. So let's take a look at their actual individual effects. Alpha, when your opponent summons a monster, you activate Alpha. And summon Driver. And if you do, you can add 1 PSYFrame card from deck to your hand. So not only do you get Driver from your deck, you get any PSYFrame card from your deck as well. And Alpha can summon the monster from hand, deck, or graveyard, like Heretic Dragons. Beta. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, summon it, summon Driver, then destroy the attacking monster, and end the battle phase. Delta. When your opponent activates a spell card, summon Delta, summon Driver, negate the spell card, and destroy it. And then Gamma. When your opponent activates a monster effect, summon it, summon Driver, negate the effect, destroy it. As well as they do have a monster by the name of Epsilon that does the same for traps. So it all does things based off what your opponent does and how your opponent plays. And it makes it fairly fun. Not to mention they have, their psychic monsters they have support. Emergency Teleport, Psychic Field Zone, Psychic Path, Overload, Psychic Tuning, stuff like that. But they have PSYFrame Circuit. If a PSYFrame monster is special summoned to your side of the field, PSYFrame monster or monsters is special summoned to your side of the field, you can immediately, after it resolves, synchro summon a synchro monster using the PSYFrame monsters that you control. It doesn't matter when they're summoned. It's if you summon them. And it doesn't have to be on your turn. It can be on your opponent's turn. So it has a very similar Ying Zing kind of feel to it, due to the fact that you can special summon, you can synchro summon on your opponent's turn, because you can use their effects on your opponent's turn. Like, you can, if you summon them on your opponent's turn, which you can, you then get to synchro. And they do have a trap card as well that is called PSYFrame Overload. You can banish a PSYFrame monster from your hand or face up on your side of the field and target one card in the field and banish it. And that is me timing out on the end. That is actually how many times I have tried to record this video. Literally, I have done this 6 or 7 times or more. I've been constantly trying to do this because there's so much to say about it and I can't find the right way to say it. So, now that we're back in. As well as that, if it's in the graveyard, except the turn it's sent there, you can banish it. Oh, and it's also during either player's turn as well. But you can banish it and add a PSYFrame card from your deck to your hand. They also have 2 synchro monsters, PSYFrame Lord Omega and PSYFrame Lord Zeta. Now, Omega, once per turn during either player's turn, you can banish both this face-up card and one random card in your opponent's hand until your next standby phase. During your opponent's standby phase, during your opponent's standby phase, you can target one banished card, return it to the graveyard. And then, if this card is in your graveyard, you can target one other card in the graveyard, shuffle both that card and this card in the deck. So if he's on the field during your opponent's standby phase, you can target one banished card and return to the graveyard. So not only can multiple things happen, you can go for Omega, and then when their standby phase comes around, use its effect to return a banished card to the graveyard. So you can recycle your banished cards in the graveyard when you need to. On top of that, it then switches to main phase 2, to main phase 1. Then you get to use his effect to banish himself and a card in your opponent's hand. So he can kind of combo that. And he can shuffle himself and another card in your graveyard back into the decks. And then Zeta, once per turn during either player's turn, you can target with face-up attack position, special summon monster your opponent controls, banish both it and this card until your next standby phase. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target one of their PSYFrame card in your graveyard and return to the hand and return Lord Zeta to the extra deck. So, this deck really is just crazy reactive combos. It's hand traps mixed with a Heretic Dragon summon feel of normal monsters, as well as... I'm just trying to think here. There's so many ways you can honestly put it, and this deck is extremely a lot of fun, and I can't say anything bad about it. It's fun, it's combo-y, it's reactive, it can play based off what your opponent does. But the easy way to beat this deck is you don't do anything, and then when you do something, you spam the board, because if they don't really have much to set up on, they won't be doing anything. So if you're playing a much faster deck than this, like if you're playing a fast deck that, does things like you try to summon something, or for example, you play Heretic Dragons, you can OTK the deck, but they have a potential chance of stopping you from using monster effects or stopping you from activating spells, and then they get to summon things off of it, but they have monsters at that point, so they are no longer allowed to summon more monsters or negate more effects or anything like that, except they can get around that if they have their field spell PSYFrame Circuit. PSYFrame Circuit easily allows them to get around that, and PSYFrame Overload allows them to banish their stuff, banish your shit. So if you're playing against them, honestly, it's advised to not do anything, actually. It's honestly one of those things where you don't do anything, the deck won't be able to do anything, and then you can just explode on them. And that's just kind of how the deck is going to work against them. Although you pack MSTs, you MST Circuit. When if they get it, you MST Circuit so they can't synchro on your turn to go more reactive and crazy. So MSTing Circuit is really honestly a great tactic. I know some people would probably say to MST the Overload as they banish, even because they banish for cost, target your card, and then you destroy it, and then it doesn't get to resolve. But, being able to stop them from being able to make their plays and go reactive, and actually do things, you need to hit Circuit. Hitting Circuit is the best thing you can really do. And I'm saying that just by experience of actually playing the deck and testing it. So, if you want to beat PSYFrames, there you go. Not to mention the fact that they all do have 0 defense. You can use Driver with Masked Chameleon, make things like Leo. If you have things that summon monsters that have 0 defense, and you want to synchro with them, this is a good deck to be able to do that in. And I like this deck a lot. I mean, it's crazy how much I actually connected to this deck and felt with this deck. This deck just mixes a lot of styles, and it's fun. So, and on that note, I'm going to leave it here. I don't want to rant on forever. I've been going at this, making videos. I've been trying to make this video for like 6 or 7 times, which is like 2 hours for me. But it's really an enjoyable deck, and I swear you guys will like this deck. It is a lot of fun, and I know a lot of people be like, that deck sucks. Well, you obviously haven't played it enough to really figure it out and get down in tune with the deck. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think of the deck. Like, comment, rate, subscribe, whatever you guys have to do. If you want to subscribe for more Yu-Gi-Oh videos, then absolutely, by all means, go for it. I will be appreciative of it every second.